Okay, this part of the lecture will talk about the median, a useful measure of central tendency. So the median is the score that divides a distribution of data into two equal parts, so that half the cases are above it and half the cases are below it. The best way to understand the median is that it is the middle score. It divides the distribution 50%, 50%. The great thing about a median is that extreme scores do not impact the median to the same extent as the mean. If we think about our earlier example, if we go around the room and everyone states what their income is, we're probably going to get somewhere around the national average, right? If we add Elon Musk into the classroom, or Jeff Bezos, one of those really rich guys, the median will not be as affected as much. With an average, our average might go up to like $10 million, which for our classroom is absolutely absurd. Our average income is not $10 million. But with a median, our average income would still be close to the national average, I assume. So do you see how you can add one person into a classroom of 20 people, and it really won't impact the central tendency when you're using a median? If you're using a mean, it will pull it up if it's a really rich person. The median is not impacted as much, and that's very important for statistics. Often, when people are talking about incomes, they'll give you the median income because it's not being pulled up or pulled down by high or low scores. So there's a lot of instances where people will use the median, especially if there's what's called outliers, really high or really low scores. So here's our exercise for the median. And what we're going to look at this left-hand column. It says cases. We have 11 cases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And on the right hand, we have our variable. We're going to call our variable y. And we see here that it says y is our variable, and our variable is income. So the first person makes $35,000 a year, the second person makes $42,000 a year, all the way down. So how do we figure out the median? Well, how many total cases do we have? Well, we have 11. N equals 11, and we're going to note that n is odd. Now, on a test, I've given data like this before and said, hey, look, there's 11 cases, here's income scores, what's the median income? And some people will point to observation number 6 and say $27,000, that's my answer. $27,000 divides the distribution in half. And that's the wrong answer, because they're forgetting step 1 of a median. Step 1 of the median is to sort the data. You must put it from lowest score to highest score, or highest score to lowest score. It doesn't matter, but you have to go from increasing or decreasing amounts. You can't have your data be all random, so you sort it. So now we have the first person makes $14,000, the second person makes $22,000, the third person makes $25,000, all the way down to the 11th person who makes $70,000. So we're going to find out what is the middle position. Now again, with a small data set like this, 11 cases, you can really eyeball it and look at that 6th case and say, yeah, 5 above, 5 below, that's the median. But when you have a really large data set, it's a lot harder. If I said we had 1,389 cases, what's the middle case? So we use a formula. So n plus 1 divided by 2 will tell you what the median position is. So we're going to use our formula. We're going to replace n with 11 because we have 11 cases. So 11 plus 1 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. The 6th observation has the median position. So there it is right there. I put a little red circle around it. So our median is going to be $35,000. And notice how that splits our distribution in half. Half the people make less. One person makes 14, one person makes 22, one person makes 25, one person makes 27, one person makes $28,000 a year. There's 5 people below the 6th observation, and there's 5 people above the 6th observation. This score, if you give it to somebody and you say 35,000, that's the median. I would say, oh, so half the people are below 35,000 in the room, half the people are above 35,000. I'm good. I know what the data looks like. Let's try another example. This is our example number 2. Notice that n is even. So we're going to calculate the median for this hypothetical distribution. So on the left hand, we have cases 1 through 10. Notice we don't have 11 this time, we only have 10. and our variable is y. Y is GPA, so the first person has a GPA of 3.5, the second person has a GPA of 1.4, the third person has a GPA of 2.2, etc., etc. So how many total cases? 11, and we are going to note that n is even. How do we find the middle position? Well, we use the same formula. We're going to sort our data. First step, don't forget that first step. We're going to go from 1.4 GPA all the way down to a 4.0 GPA. And we have our formula, n plus 1 divided by 2 is the median position after we've sorted the data. So here's our formula. 10 plus 1 is going to be 11 divided by 2. Ooh, this one's tricky. 5.5. The position between observation 5 and 6 is the median. So it's that spot right there. And we have a 2.8 and a 3.1. Well, what do? Well, we have a middle position where there's no score. So we're going to create a fake score there that divides our distribution in half. We're going to add 2.8 plus 3.1. We're going to get 5.9. 5.9 divided by 2 is 2.95. Our median is 2.95. Wait a second. We just averaged 2.9 and 3.1. So to find the median when the data is even, and you're never going to have a case in that position. When you have even data, like 10, well, it can't be observation 5, and it can't be observation 6. It's observation 5.5. What do? You get the two scores, and you average them. And that's what we did. We added 2.8 and 3.1, got 5.9. We divided it by 2. That's an average. And we got 2.95. Notice that the score 2.95 divides our data in half. We have 5 observations below it, 5 observations that have higher scores than it. 2.95 isn't in our data, but it does divide our distribution of data in half once it's sorted. I hope that's helpful. I hope you understand the important aspects of medians. It does work differently when you have an odd number of cases versus an even number of cases. If you don't understand that, we can talk about it in class. And if you do have an even number of cases, you're going to have to average 2 scores. Again, we can do an example in class. We'll go around the room asking everybody how many miles they live from Copper Mountain College, and then we can calculate the median. We'll do it by hand, and we'll also use Stata to see what that looks like. Okay, I hope everyone has a great day, and if you have any questions about the median, please bring them to class.